And there we go. So now, welcome to this edition of the Herkimer Central School District Instructional Technology Support. Today, we're going to be talking about Google Meet's new features. As I said before, some of these features were just updated today as of this morning when we entered the enterprise license for everybody. So if you do not see some of these features when you are in a Google Meet, please let us know so we can make sure that you get into the right category. Today, we're going to be talking about the moderator controls, the new raise your hand feature, the changing of the background, Jamboard, breakout rooms, polls, question and answers. We'll also have to mention that that there is a new attendance tracking feature that kind of takes place in the background, as well as a way to get rid of background noises or minimize background noises for your students, which sometimes is a great option if you are having discussions, especially when we get into these breakout rooms. Just one last time, I'm going to remind you, please mute your mic for this recording so we can hear everybody, or so we don't hear everybody, rather. All right, so let's talk about some of the new features in Google Meet. And let me pin this so I can see this large. All right, whoa, that gives you a whole view on view on view on view when I do it that way. All right, so let's see here. We're going to start out with the moderator controls. We're going to work our way around the screen, and we'll get to everything that we can. So if I scroll down here to the bottom and have my blue bar pop up, you probably don't see this right away because you won't see this because you're not the host. I am the host. I set this meeting up. Your students would not see this. Only you would see this as the teacher. But if I click on my host controls, you have quick access, which is when turned off, everyone who isn't invited must ask to join, including people in your organizations. So if you get a class going and you maybe want to make sure if you don't want to be bugged by people that might be coming in late, but you still want to take that as an attendance, an option is to turn that off. And that way, anybody that tries to join the meet, it'll first ask you if you want that person to join, and you'll have to allow them in. Down here, you can also let everybody share their screen or chat messages. I like to turn these off when I'm first starting student meetings because that way it cuts back from the unnecessary chats of people doing a chat room. And then turn it on as need be throughout the meeting. If I want to say I want to allow kids to ask stuff, or if I want to allow kids to type a message, I can go ahead and do that. Now, there are some other host controls that are supposed to be open. If I go ahead and click on this, host controls, it's everything I talk to. According to Google, there's supposed to be one more down here that says you're allowed, that you want to take attendance. But when we talked to Google today, they said, no, that's not an option. We said, then why is it in your instructions? And she's like, well, that's not what it means. But just know that once you get more than 5 people in a meeting, you will automatically get a spreadsheet of who was in that meeting, when they joined, when they left, and that gets sent to you through your email. And that kicks in automatically after you have 5 people added. We've talked to Google for about a half hour today, and that's the best answer they could give us. Is that no, it's automatic. Actually, Ryan talked to him. Ryan can tell you how much fun that was when he tried to share screenshots with Google, and they denied that that's actually their screenshot. Over here down at the bottom, you'll see the raise hand feature. This is now takes place. We used to use Nod as an extension, but this is actually takes place of that. If you click the raise your hand, you can see that up here in this show everybody feature. If I go ahead and click on that, it's going to show me that I have an extra raised hand. It basically shows up as an extra person in the classroom. And so now I can go over, I can address that person, and when I'm done talking to them, I can lower their hand and it drops back out. So that's the new raise hand feature. I got a question. Can you take attendance if less than 5 people have some groups of 3 and 4? Unfortunately, no, for groups of it. Google has it set for automatically for 5. So you'd have to have the extra extension for groups of 3 or 4. If we come to the 3 dots over here, we've got some extra stuff in here. Now, some of you may know about the changing of the background. It used to be just blurring, but there's some extra options here. This allows you to slightly blur your background, very much blur your background, or use a virtual backdrop. Do note that a couple of notes with this, that if you put in a backdrop or blur your background, it may slow down the computers. So though anyone that has a weak internet access may not be an option for them. Also, this is only good for the Chrome environment. It does not work on the iOS environment as of such. So all the Chromebooks should have this. If you're running an iPad, it's not going to be available. It's not going to be an option. You won't even see that option. So your students don't have to worry about it, looking for it and not having it. Also in here, we've got, if we go to settings and I go into my audio settings, I can actually click noise cancellation. And what that does is it tries to filter out sound that isn't speech. So if you have a kid that's in a noisy environment, you're having conversations going on, you can have them turn on their noise cancellation. It may help with some of that background noise. And that's a good feature to use when you've got maybe not the best environment for a kid to be working in. Also, under the three dots, you have your whiteboard, which is known as a Jamboard. And this is an interactive Jamboard. So if I start a new Jamboard, up to 16 people can interact with this Jamboard, and it works basically as a space for us to add things in and work together. And here it is. It's just a blank Jamboard. You can do a lot of stuff with this. You can write, you can add shapes. So if you want to do a Venn diagram with kids or word cloud, you could do a whole bunch of different stuff. So you've got your pens here. You've got different types of pens, highlighters, markers, brushes. You can change your colors, obviously an erase feature. You have your pointer, you're selecting. You can put sticky notes. You can add pictures. You can even add GIFs. So if you're using GIFs, you can add those into Jamboards as well. Here's you got your shapes, some basic shapes that you can use. You can insert text. And you even have a laser pointer, so if you need to point stuff out to kids, it'll circle it and then disappear after a while. Now, keep in mind that the Jamboard is open for anyone to use it. So, Ryan, you're clicked into it. Can you go ahead and put something onto the Jamboard for us? There is no history to this, so we can't see who's changing things around. You just got to kind of be diligent of what's going on in your Jamboard. You can set backgrounds, clear frames, do all sorts of stuff with this. Jamboard's really great if you're having a brainstorming session. Because it's only up for 16 people, a good option for using a Jamboard is if you have breakout sessions. You can have your students break out into sessions and work on the Jamboards and come back together with their stuff. All right, that's the Jamboard. If we kind of circle back up to here, now this is stuff I'm going to spend, I kind of zoomed through a lot of that stuff because this is some of the really new stuff that I want to take some time on. So we have this new button here. It's called Activities. Activities allow you to do one of three things. You can host breakout rooms. In other words, you're splitting into small group discussions. You can do a poll, which you can get a quick pulse of the audience. You can open it up for a certain amount of time and then close it and then show the class your results. And you can also do a Q&A. So we're going to walk through all these things together. So first up is a breakout room. So we're going to click on breakout room.
Where?
And when I click on the breakout room, I hear someone saying, Mary, you're not going to see this stuff unless you're the host of the class. So here I've got all the people that are in my meeting right now, and I'm going to go ahead and set up breakout rooms, and I can alter how many breakout rooms I have. So right now it's set to 6. I could go less, I could go more, depending on how many people I've had. I can set a timer for how long those rooms are going to be open. So I could set that breakout room for 1 minute, so you guys can see all this is. I also checked here, I'm going to end the breakout rooms after a set amount of time, so that way they automatically get kicked out and get brought back to the main room. You can shuffle this kid's order around. So you can shuffle who's in each room. If you're not happy with who's in a certain room, you can drag them and put them into a different room. So I know that Mrs. Smith and Mr. really don't get along very well, so I'm going to switch those two out of that room. And you can see who's everybody that is going to go into those rooms. You can clear these out. It's going to show you who's going to remain in the main call. That's me. And now when I open rooms, you're all going to be sent to your own breakout rooms, and you'll be brought back to me after 30 or after 60 seconds. So I hit open rooms. So now I know you guys are in breakout room sessions. I can watch everybody join their rooms. I can see who's not at their computer and clicking on their breakout room. As these guys are going in, they're in their rooms. You can see over here while they're not hearing any of this, I get an alert that says I got 29 seconds.
One thing to point out, if you guys did not notice, while in the breakout rooms, you do have a bar that comes up across the top of the screen that says ask for help. And if you click the little button in there that says ask for help, then the instructor, Mr. Matthew, will get a little notification that comes up that says Ryan Aurelio wants help in room number 1. And the instructor can very easily pop back and forth between those rooms. And Tom's asking a really good question. Are the breakout rooms recorded? I don't know the answer to that, Tom, but after we're done with this session here and we're done recording it, I will look at that and see exactly what that looks like. I don't know. Thank you. Thanks for asking. That's a really good question. So I think we're waiting for Mr. Matthew to pop back in. Ms. Lister wants to know, do we see all of the breakout rooms? Yes and no is the answer.
Sorry, right, I'm here. Sorry.
That's okay.
I was on mute.
Lister wants to know if we see all the breakout rooms. And
okay, so what I was saying is that
oh, go ahead.
During the breakout rooms, I popped into one of the breakout rooms. Now, when you're recording a main breakout, or when you're recording a main Google Meet, a breakout room is essentially a separate Google Meet, so it does not record the breakout rooms. You would have to record separately the breakout room. It's like essentially you're leaving one Google Meet and going to another Google Meet, so that the recording does not carry over. And as far as you as the teacher, you're either going to see that help, that a group needs help, or it's kind of the onus to jump into each rooms. It is one of the limitations is that you have to kind of jump around. I haven't tested if you can open all 4 at once, which is something you can sometimes do. If you set up your breakout rooms by yourself, you can have all 4 open at once and kind of watch what's going on in each one. That's something we obviously have not had a chance to test yet because it's rather new. So yeah, you'll see the list of who's in what room. You'll see the name is kind of grayed out if they're not in that room yet. So you can kind of keep track of who hasn't left to go into the main room yet, into their breakout room yet, because it just is a lighter color and doesn't look like it's broken through yet. So that's really how the breakout rooms are done. Again, it's a brand new feature. So as people test this stuff out, they will send stuff to Google, and Google's very good about listening to teachers and responding to their feedback. So that's your breakout rooms essentially. Opening up extra Google Meets, so your recording isn't going to carry over, but you can see when certain groups need help. It's kind of a good thing to when a good practice would be if you're going to practice this the first time, make sure you have 1 or 2 really good students in each room, if you have that many, and then you have that. We have been worried about students rejoining meets without teacher with a breakout room. Aren't they given access to private chats? The moderator controls, one thing we have not tested either is if the moderator controls break across into the breakout rooms. Now, what I believe the purpose of this would be is for this room, but we need to test if I turn off chats, if that's going to apply to the breakout rooms that get created off of this. Anybody that is willing to hang on or maybe do a little test afterwards, we'd love to test that out. It's like we said, some of the stuff is very, very new as of this morning for us to be trying out. Let's go back to the activities bar. And now we're going to do a poll. And a poll, and I'm not screen sharing anymore, so that's a good thing to know. That's another good practice to remember, is that when you are breaking out in your breakout rooms, that ends. So let's see. There we go. All right, so now we're going to go back to our activities tab, and we're going to do a poll. And we're going to start the poll, and it's really just a simple question of asking a question, putting in options, and seeing what the answers are. Let's just do, are you ready for the holidays? Don't want to wish anybody a happy Honda Days, and you celebrate Toyotathon. I would hate to insult anybody, so we'll just keep it generic. I'm going to leave it as no, I'm going to leave this as no correct answer. If this is something that you're looking for, like a correct answer, you would fill in that correct, you'd hit that button to add a correct answer. This is going to be an open-ended, so we're just going to go ahead and launch that. And right now you should have a poll that's live. So we got some votes coming in here. I have the option in my screen. I can either show people the results or not show people the results. And we'll just give it a couple more seconds here because I'll show you a couple of things before we can move on. I can pop in and show people the results. I can turn that back off depending on if I want you to see the results or not. Once you end the poll is ended. It cannot be opened back up. Holly asks, where is the poll? I believe if you look into your activity tab up here, actually it's going to be a different spot. If you look in your activity tab up here, should be a little green dot next to it letting you know that you have a poll. And then, so I got about 10 votes here, so I'm going to end the poll. And now if you go back to the activities tab and go to polls, you should see the results. Now again, this is ended. I can't open it back up. So once you close out a poll, just know that you can't open it back up. Someone can't be like, oh, I didn't vote. Like, well, too bad. You've closed it out. It's closed out. But you can run separate polls at the same time. So you just keep that in mind. If someone's taking too long to do something, you can always go back. The last option in the activities tab, again, from here, if you go up to the activities tab, you'll get the Q&A, and you'll get a result from both the polls and the questions emailed to you after the meet. So now I can turn on Q&A, and this allows you to ask questions. You'll get all your questions here coming up. You'll have oldest first, or you can switch to newest, or you can switch to the most popular. The question is asked, must polls be created during the meet? You can actually save polls. You can actually save polls for later on for use. So imagine that you can create them beforehand and then launch them at your need. So there's an option to save polls there. So we got a first question in, what's tomorrow's homework? I can choose to mark this as hidden, or I can let people see it. I can say, okay, Mr. Aurelio, tomorrow's homework for you is to watch the first episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian, because I know you're not doing that. So that's your homework. And then I can say, boom, I've answered that question for Mr. Aurelio. I can also say, hey, that's an upvote. I like that question, because a lot of times you get kids that may have the same question. And if a question gets a lot of upvotes, then it goes into this category of popular. So if there's a lot of kids that say, hey, I don't understand question number 1, and a lot of kids are like, yeah, I had a really hard time with that one. you can have a lot of kids upvote that, and it'll become popular and stick to the top. So you can make sure you can pick out your questions right away. And then when if I want to stop question time, I can hit that, and I can stop at allowing people to ask questions. Maybe I can open it back up. This is a really good way of having a replacement of chat. So if you have chat blocked for your students because you don't want them having chit chat, you can always, under activities, open up questions and allow them to ask questions when you want them to. And then that way you're making sure that you're not just looking for random comments, you're actually looking for real questions. And if somebody asks something that you don't like, you can mark as hidden and address it later with the student, or you can even just delete the question if you're done with that stuff. All right. And it says that there, you'll still be able to see it after the call. And that's the question and answer feature. So those are a lot of the new features. So when I close out this Gmeet, what'll happen is I'm going to get an email of my attendance. I'm going to get an email of the poll results, and I'm going to get an email of the questions that were asked. And that's kind of very powerful for you because now you have a written record of what's going on, participation, stuff sort of like that. Let's see if there's any more questions on here. No, Ryan's answering those right. Good. Ryan's my moderator. Excellent. I'm going to stop the recording here.